You're welcome to the Making of Me podcast, where we explore the journey that shape us into who we are. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Julie Cyvonne with us, a former Anthony who spends years checking every box of success while ignoring her own nervous system until burnout and anxiety force her to rebuild her life from the inside out. Julie now helps high achieving women reconnect with themselves and clarity and create life that feels good on the inside and the look on the outside. It's a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to dig into our conversation today.
Yeah, thank you, Julie. So, Julie, what were some of the challenges that actually shape you into who you are today?
I would say the biggest challenge that really affected who I am today was my dad dying when I was little. And I was 6 when he passed away. It's one of those things where, I think people might like say, "Oh, I'm so sorry," or try to relate to you in some way, like, "Oh, my grandparent died," or like, "I had a dog that died," or whatever. But having a parent die is just like it's an experience that's very unique, and I don't think unless you've gone through it that you can fully relate, but it shaped me in pretty much every way imaginable.
Amazing. Yeah. So, Julie, what was it like when you were actually more like chasing success as an Anthony?
It was very performative, right? It was very much like I am thinking, oh, if I get a certain accolade or a certain salary or a letter behind my name, then I'll finally feel good because other people will, look at me a certain way or respect me, or even like if I'm being completely honest, sometimes it's like, oh, I bet they're jealous. And I was deriving a lot of my like self-worth off of what I thought other people might be thinking about me versus focusing on how I felt about myself.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Thank you. So, when did you realize that your life on paper didn't match how you felt inside?
I think I was starting to realize that after I was practicing as an attorney. There was a moment when I was just, oh gosh, it was terrible. I was so caught up in my anxiety, and I was sitting on the couch one night crying, just thinking like I am always going to have some base level of anxiety. Like it's never going to fully go away. I felt really doomed, and I think that was the point where I was like, okay, this isn't how I want life to feel. Like I don't think life should feel this way.
Yeah. Amazing. The realization. So, how did burnout and anxiety push you towards the new phase?
Well, I think some people get burnt out and then they find a temporary solution and it just becomes a cycle of like, they burn out, they feel better for a little bit, then they burn out again. And I was just really determined to break the cycle and to heal once and for all and like not get back there. And I think that decision to like not engage in temporary fixes but really feel the root cause was the shifting point for me. Well, when I think about, shifting these things, I think about having a values first approach of
Yeah.
really getting clear on like what matters to you. Because for some people, right, they like the hustle, they like the grind, they like the constant barrage of different things and stimulus. And for me, I realized that wasn't what I liked. I really valued peace.
So, what role does intuition play in guiding your career shifts and personal transformation?
That's what I really think is my superpower, my intuition of just connecting with like my own internal. I believe guidance is internal, right? Like I think we oftentimes a lot of people outsource their decision making power and they'll text their friend or their coach or their boyfriend or whatever, like, what do you think I should do? Or their mom. And I think that other people are going to know what's best for them to do, but only you can know what's best for you. And that is based on a variety of different things, your life experiences, your preferences, your values. And so your intuition is that like inner guidance, that like highest self of this is what's best for us, and only you can learn that.
Yeah, only you can actually more like the best. I think that really stood out being that. Yeah, others might have their own personal burdens, even if they project it on you and you take it or you run with it. At the end of the day, it's burnout is still going to affect being that, yeah, you are unique and only you could actually understand what is going on. So, what is the most surprising lessons you have learned about success and fulfillment?
I think that it's like success really can look a million different ways. Well, first it's defining your own success, right? Like I think when I was growing up, I had this perception that like success was having a big house.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that came from, but like in my mind it was like, okay, if you're successful, you have a big house. And now I'm sitting here, as a 33-year-old woman, and I realize I don't want a big house. Like a big house is more stuff to clean. Like and that's not something like that to me
Yeah.
is not success. cool, right? Success to me now is more about the way that I feel around it. So that it looks so many different ways and that you can get there in a million different ways. I don't know, about your school system, but in the United States, the school system is very much like they just tell you how to do something and they expect you to do it that way. And there's not a lot of room for like ingenuity or creative thinking, etc. And so that can make entrepreneurship really difficult because we're
Yeah,
waiting for like this magic formula of like a math formula, right? Like, oh, someone will tell me how to do it. And it's not like that. It's like you can figure out any way that you want to make it happen. And I think that was really hard for me to learn in my journey of entrepreneurship, of just being like, well, this actually, I can make this happen in one of a million different ways. So how do I want to make it happen?
amazing, amazing. Thank you, Julie. So, for someone feeling stuck in life but look perfect on the outside, what is one step they can take today to start rebuilding from within?
Yeah, I would really take some time to like, you can Google this, like Google on, get on the internet and just search list of values. And I would start looking at all these values, and you're going to see a lot. You're going to see freedom, you're going to see joy, you're going to see peace. And, start circling the ones that stand out to you. Like, oh, yeah, I like
Hmm.
that one. That was important to me. And then keep making your list smaller and smaller of like what is most important to you. And you're even going to find some values kind of fit in with each other, right? So some people feel like abundance and prosperity, like you can just pick one of the others. So I resonate more with prosperity. That one has more emotional resonance for me. So that's the one I'll usually choose. But, pick like get down to five, right? Your five top values. And then really think about if I was living this value at a 10 out of 10, right? If I was living prosperity at a 10 out of 10, how would my life look? And really paint a mental picture. And I want to say this process doesn't have to be super long, right? You can do this in like 20, 30 minutes. Really sit down. What is a 10 out of 10? And then give yourself an honest rating based on how it is right now. How does your life look right now? And from there, pick one value, just one, right? We're not gonna, what I always see is as people's biggest pitfall is like trying to do too much. They're trying to like change all these aspects of themselves, right? Like I'm gonna go to the gym every day and I'm gonna not eat Cheetos and I'm going to get 10 hours of sleep. And it's like if you have never gone to the gym, all you eat is like, Cheetos and Coke and whatever, and you sleep like 5 hours a night, this isn't gonna happen like in one day, right? Like you're not gonna make that shift. So pick one and then create one sustainable shift in your life that is a reflection of your values. So just to give you an example of this, when I first did this when I was an attorney, I realized I really valued peace. I did not have a lot of peace in my life. And so the first thing I did was I committed to every day after work, I would come home and I would make a cup of tea and I would sit outside with all of my animals and like let them run around for like 50 without my phone. And that was me inviting in more peace and not just inviting in, but literally creating it for myself. So you have to take the time to create for yourself a life that is a reflection of your values because it doesn't just happen automatically.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Julie. So, Julie, looking back, how do you define relationship between challenge and personal growth?
I mean, I don't think anything worth having comes without a bit of a challenge, right? Whether it's a challenge of like overcoming your mindset or a challenge of lifting a weight at the gym that is uncomfortable. Like growth only happens in the discomfort, but it's about finding that sweet spot of discomfort that is pushing you but isn't destabilizing you.
Yeah, pushing you, but it's not destabilizing you. Amazing, amazing. Yeah, thank you, Julie. So, Julie, for my audience who want to learn more from you, connect with you, and reach out to you for the service you do, how can they reach out to you and where's the best platform?
Yeah, I mean, a great place to find me is on Instagram at Julie Cyvonne. It's just JulieCyvonne. I know we didn't really talk about it here, but if your audience is interested in learning more about microdosing, you can DM me the word journey, and my very quick, like 10-question quiz will send to you to determine whether or not microdosing is right next step for you, because I always want to be respectful of people's time. So if it's not right for you, the quiz will very clearly tell you that. And if you're interested in learning more about psychedelics overall, you can listen to my podcast, The Inner Trip, 365 Days with Plant Medicine, where I really go into different types of psychedelics, my experience, my clients' experience, or my website is just the same as my Instagram, juliesavone.com.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Julie. And definitely the link out to your website is going to be on the show notes. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Julie, for sharing your stories and the lesson that came from rebuilding your life from the inside out. So, our listener, if you want to learn more about Julie's work, visit juliechevon.com and follow her on Instagram at juliechevon. Remember, it's often the challenge we try to avoid that shape us into the people we are meant to be. Yeah, thank you for tuning in to the Making of Me podcast. We'll see you in the next episode. And once again, it's a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.